Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down Micron Technology's latest earnings call from an investor's point of view, and wow, it is one of the biggest stories unfolding in tech right now.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a number that has everyone's jaw on the floor. 196%. That's the year-over-year revenue growth in their second fiscal quarter. And no, that is not a typo. Their revenue nearly tripled in just 1 year. And look, this wasn't just a lucky break in one area. This quote from the CEO, Sanjay Mehrotra, really says it all. It was a clean sweep of records across the board. And that's exactly what sets the stage for the powerful story we're about to unpack.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. Think of it like we're building an investment case, piece by piece. We'll look at the what, those incredible numbers, the why, the AI revolution that's driving all of this, the how, Micron's specific game plan. And then we'll look at the wider market and, of course, the bottom line for investors.
All right, first up, let's really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of these financial results. We're talking about numbers that are completely resetting the expectations for this entire company.
Yeah, the story here is way bigger than just revenue. I mean, look at this. Gross margin nearly doubled to an insane 75%. And they generated, $6.9 billion in free cash flow in 1 quarter. This is a company that is absolutely firing on all cylinders.
And to really put this into perspective, think about this for a second. The company's forecast for the next quarter, just 3 months, is more than they used to make in an entire year. This isn't just growth, people. This is a total rewrite of what this company is.
So what in the world is driving this explosion? The answer is just 2 letters, AI. But it's not just about selling more stuff. It's about a fundamental shift in how important memory has become. And this right here, this is the absolute core of the whole story. Micron is basically saying that in the age of AI, memory isn't just some boring component anymore. No way. It's now a core strategic asset. The more powerful the AI, the more powerful the memory it needs. They're tied at the hip. And the thing is, this demand is coming from everywhere. Every single time AI gets smarter, whether it's in a giant data center, your PC, your phone, or even in cars, it demands exponentially more and faster memory. It's not just one wave of demand. It's like a tsunami hitting from all sides. Okay, so from an investor's point of view, this changes everything, right? When your product goes from being just another part on a list to the essential ingredient, you get pricing power. You're not just a supplier anymore, you're a strategic partner. And that, my friends, is how you get higher and much more stable profits. Now, having huge demand is great, but it's not enough. You've got to execute. You have to build what investors call a moat, a sustainable advantage. And a really clever part of their strategy is actually changing the way they make deals. They're moving away from old, short-term agreements to these new multi-year deals they call strategic customer agreements, or SCAs. I mean, they've already signed their first 5-year deal. That's a huge deal because it's designed to smooth out those crazy boom and bust cycles the memory industry is famous for. For shareholders, that means more stability and visibility. Their game plan on the tech side is basically a 3-pronged attack. First, they're cranking out their most advanced, top-of-the-line core products. Second, they're going after the super high-end AI market with something called HBM. You can think of it as ultra-fast memory stacked like a skyscraper for maximum power. And third, they're innovating in new spaces, like creating low-power memory to make those giant data centers run more efficiently. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture, because this isn't just a Micron story. There's a massive, and they're calling it unprecedented, gap opening up between supply and demand for the whole industry. This chart really says it all, doesn't it? Demand for memory, it's projected to grow somewhere in the low 20% range. But look at supply. It just can't keep up. And basic economics tells us what happens next. When demand outstrips supply like this, prices, they go up. And this isn't a problem that you can just fix overnight. Not even close. Building these new chip factories or fabs takes years. Plus, and this is a really interesting point, the newer, more advanced tech is actually less efficient at producing raw bits. So even as they get better, it gets harder to pump out more supply. Get this, the situation is so tight right now that Micron is saying some of their biggest customers can only get their hands on about half to 2/3 of the memory they need. This isn't just a tight market, this is full-on rationing. And that puts companies like Micron in a very, very powerful position. Okay, so let's bring this all together. What does this all mean for you, the investor? Let's boil this whole story down to the numbers that hit your bottom line. First up, a direct return to shareholders. The board just approved a 30% hike in the quarterly dividend. That's a huge vote of confidence, right? They're basically screaming that they expect these massive cash flows to continue.
Second, let's talk about the engine powering all this, that record-breaking $6.9 billion in free cash flow. Again, in a single quarter, that is the financial firepower they're using to fuel the growth and reward investors.
And third, where is all that cash going? Well, they're planning to plow over 25 times billion dollars into capital expenditures just this year. They are spending aggressively to build more capacity and try to catch up with that just insatiable AI demand. So you see the cycle here. For an investor, it's a thing of beauty. AI drives these monster profits. Those profits are then used to pay down debt, making the company stronger, build for the future, and reward you directly with more dividends. It's a powerful, self-reinforcing loop. Which leaves us with one last big question. You know, oil was the one resource you had to have to power the 20th century economy. As AI becomes the engine for everything we do in the 21st century, has high-performance memory become the new oil? The new indispensable commodity? That right there is the multi-trillion-dollar question the market is trying to answer.